Welcome to another edition of the Harmon Solar Podcast. I'm Rob Romano, VP of Sales and Marketing at Harmon Solar. And with me, as always, is Ben Walschlager. Mr. Everything is what we call him. Sometimes he's Mr. Some Things, Mr. Other Things, but today he'll be Mr. Everything again. Ben, how you doing?
Good. It's good to be back.
Is it good?
It's good to be back with on the podcast again. Let's do this.
Get our new series here going.
Yeah.
A bunch of new stuff coming down the pipe. New studio coming soon, as we'll have. It's going to be a whole new Harmon Solar Podcast. A lot coming up. Stay tuned.
New year, new everything.
New everything. And speaking of new everything, today we have a new guest.
Yeah.
We got a guy.
We got a guy. You're not wearing your shirt, though.
I'm not wearing my... I know. I'm not wearing my I got a guy shirt.
Yeah.
So. And I've gotten rid of all my Harmon stuff because, I don't know why.
Okay. Because, well, actually, you don't know.
I don't know. So, and today we're going to talk with Solar Detach and Reset. So they're a company that we work with that does some different things that we'll get into what they do. But we thought it'd be a good idea to bring one or more of our vendors in or somebody we work with to kind of talk about what they do and how they help us in solar and what they do in the industry. So today we've got Tyler Hutchings.
There you go.
From Solar Detach and Reset.
What is up, gentlemen? I'm excited to be here. Yeah, the Hutchings, that always gets everyone. Is there a G and an S in there?
Yeah,
is it INS?
yeah.
So, don't worry about chopping it up. And, happy to be here.
I'm glad you're happy I'm not there.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. And just so you know, if you do want to be on the podcast, you have to have a beard.
Yeah, that's
like everyone here has a
very
beard today.
important.
Yeah,
It's a requirement.
Yeah, sorry.
That's what my wife says, too. It's a requirement.
So, are you the owner of Solar Detach and Reset?
Yes. So I'm the owner. I started it about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And 100% owner on it. Yep.
Right. 5 years ago. So you've been doing. Have you been in this industry that long, or longer than 5 years? Obviously, or
yeah. So my story goes back almost 15 years now. I started off with Sun Valley Solar Solutions.
Oh, okay.
And I've actually, through them, been recommending you guys for a long time because, in my personal opinion, Harmon Solar and Sun Valley Solar are the two leaders in the local Arizona market when it comes to doing stuff right. So even early on when I was a supervisor for them, I'd get questions all the time. Who do you recommend for solar?
Yeah.
Of course, Sun Valley. Well, give me one more option. You got to call Harmon too.
Yeah.
So, so I started off installing, worked up to supervising with them and running the field teams.
Oh.
Then started getting into the service department with them. And that's where we started picking up on a big need to get all this stuff out of the way for the roofers. And we ventured off to start Solar Detach and Reset.
Interesting. I had no idea you were at Sun Valley.
Yeah, Sun Valley. So I trust me, I love you guys. I've been a big fan of us, of Harmon for a long time. So I was working with Russ and Joe over there for about 10 years before I left, and started Solar Detach.
They're good guys.
Reset.
They're not as good as Harmon, but they're good guys.
Right. we call them our frenemies.
No, they are. They are good guys too.
Yeah.
So I mean, definitely, I agree with you. If you're going to talk to anybody, it'd be us. It'd be them.
Yeah, and we can get into the whys behind that if you want in a minute. But there's a few key things that I qualify for a solar installation company to be able to recommend them. And you guys are checking all the boxes. Sun Valley does a pretty good job at that too. So hats off to you.
I think we're going to talk about that. Let's first talk about Solar Detach and Reset. What do you guys do? People are probably going, okay, that's a interesting name.
Yeah, it actually hasn't always been called Solar Detach and Reset because, my background is in operations, technical, and so marketing, running a business, all a big learning curve over the last 5 branding.
Yeah.
You guys have coming from sales, you're building a great brand with this podcast. You know what's up. I've been picking up on a lot of that over the last 5 years. And so when I started the business, we were actually called Solar Restore. And it didn't really make much sense. I didn't know how to market. I was at home shows. I was just kind of casting a wide net everywhere to try and get traction. And I remember being at home shows, and people would come by at the home show, and they'd be like, forget solar. Right? You're trying to sell me solar. I just walked by 15 guys trying to sell me solar, or I already got solar, or I hate solar, whatever it is. And so I was like, man, I got to switch my brand up to let people know.
Right.
I'm not trying to sell new solar. So we switched it and pretty much put the name of what we do and the description of what we do into the name of the business. We detach it and we reset it. And so we've been rolling at Solar Detach and Reset for about 3 years now, and we've been targeting relationships with roofers since then. And so that's really our number one. It's more of a B2B marketing strategy. It's building relationships to bridge the gap between the solar and roofing industry. Yeah.
So when you say you detach it, let's talk about that. So people might be going, so what, they remove solar?
Yeah.
Yeah, we always used to call them removal and reinstalls. But I
Right.
figured I could save time with a few syllables and get a little shorter on the name, right?
Right.
Yeah, shorter domain name. But yeah, so we detach it. Well, let me back up. So when I was running the service department, we started getting calls. Hey, can you take my solar off the roof? Well, sure, I get. We can go take it off. So we started trying to figure out how to take it off and put it back. And what we realized was there's so many different systems out there, and it was messy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to replace everything every time at Sun Valley. All new racking, all new mids, all new mounts. We pull new wire from the inverter up to the top.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to charge this much a panel. I'm like, we were sitting there throwing away Unirack racking so that we could put Iron Ridge on. And anyone in the solar game knows those two are almost identical. You can buy parts for them. All the hardware is good. Right. Customers are already having to panic crap done for the roof, and now we're adding extra cost because we can't reuse stuff. So I was like, man, if we can just figure out how to put a plan on what is reusable and what's not, and try and save some money for the customer, but also build a relationship with the roofers to provide a better experience to the customer. Because one of the other things I noticed in that service department at Sun Valley is it wasn't Sun Valley's number one priority, right? They wanted to sell solar, new solar. And so there just seemed to be occasional scheduling issues, like all these different roofers. Like we'd show up, roofers are still on site. Or, roofers coming in behind and saying, hey, man, were you going to replace these broken tile? Oh, yeah, we were. It's on our plan. Well, you got to let me know, like communication breakdowns.
Right.
There's a lot of roofers in the state. I mean, we're 1,000 registered, right? And so to start building relationships with them, I'm sure you guys know, Sun Valley also has a sister roofing company, Azul Roofing. And so I really started talking to the guy that was running Azul. He now owns Eco Roofing Solutions, a gentleman named Eric Perry. Hey, how do you want these mounts sealed up? Like, are we doing it right? How do you want to be communicated with? What are your guys' needs? And I started figuring out that roofers really hate solar guys, like, as a whole. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Like, these guys been around since homes have been being built. Here come all these electricians putting holes in my roof, breaking tile, not communicating, not taking the blame if there's a problem.
Good point, yeah.
And so, man, how do I start building some trust? Because if these two industries are so close together, like, what would happen if we started working closer together? Right. What kind of experience would that be for the homeowner? And that was really the foundation of the model we were after when we started Solar Detach and Reset, Solar Restore.
Let's go. Let's take a step back for the audience. So, I'm sure people are sitting there going, "Well, why is he taking solar panels off a roof? Right? What's the purpose of that?" So, do you want to talk?
Yeah.
About
so we were talking about roofing. So the obvious is you take the panels off the roof for roofing, but why does it need to be re-roofed, or are there other reasons why you take modules off a roof?
Yeah, well,
besides roofing.
Great question. So, yes, occasionally, most of the time it's for roofing issues. So, the primary roof here in Arizona is a concrete tile roof. So most of our customers probably have some type of concrete tile up on the roof. Looking at these pictures behind me, it's just a sea of concrete tile roofs, right? And so, a lot of customers or homeowners don't understand that there's an underlayment underneath that tile, and they see the tile and they that's going to last longer than me. It's a piece of concrete.
Yeah, roof's in good shape. We're good.
Yeah, but the truth is, and what people oftentimes find and learn the hard way, is that lifespan of a roof is 25 years on that underlayment, especially if it was a tract house, new build, the type of material they were using. You're going to get about 25 years on that underlayment, which is a piece of paper underneath the tile that actually keeps the water out of the home.
Right.
Concrete tile is going to shed 80-90% of the water, but it's not 100% waterproof. And so when that underlayment dries out, it begins to crack and get brittle, and it allows water into the roof. So that's one thing that can cause a new roof or roof replacement. The other thing that can cause it is there are a lot of people out there that leave broken tile when they install some solar, or don't seal up mounts correctly, or cause damage to that roof. And so what starts to happen is we take a 25-year-old roof, and now that solar slope, maybe the lifespan got cut in half on that roof underlayment because there was some broken tile that was allowing debris and water in long term, and it expedited the lifespan. Of the roof got shortened up from 25. Now it's maybe 15. So we detach some systems that have been installed 1 year. We detach some systems that have been installed 25 years. And so it's always a shame if someone just put solar up, right, and no one explained that roof condition on the front end, and now they have to incur this extra cost. But essentially, to get back to your question, it's someone looks up after a big rainstorm and they notice a water spot on their ceiling, and they call a roofer, and the roofer goes out and says, hey, you got a bad underlayment, but all those panels are in my way. And they can either say, hey, go find someone to get them out of the way, get with your original installer, or Google someone. Or they can say, hey, I got this guy that I know, like, and I trust because we've been working with him. I know he's not going to break tile on your roof. He's going to seal mounts up. Let me have him come out and get you some options on getting the solar out. And we come in as a team.
So the roofer won't touch it, the modules.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
do you really want a roofer touching your modules?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Yeah. And there's also some legality to it, right? There's license classifications.
Yeah,
so we want to, I've got a CR 11, which is a commercial residential electrical license. I'm sure you guys have something similar on your end, installing solar. These roofers are subbing out the roof work oftentimes to a sub crew, and these guys are just swapping underlayments all day long. So if you threw them a curveball to try and wire something up, it's gonna void the warranty on anything, and usually we're gonna void a warranty if there's one still intact too. And we can get into that in a minute if you want, and what happens with that. But yeah, they're not going to be able to get it back up and operating and functional every single time like we are.
So I want, watching this at home, I want you to think about that for a second. So we talked about this. We've done our roofing podcast, and we've gone over this. If your roof is 20 years old, probably want to do something with it before you put solar on it.
Right.
It's a valid point. You're saying you're seeing stuff that's 1 year, and now all of a sudden it needs a re-roof. I mean, the incurred cost that you're going to have for that is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, because your services aren't free, right?
What?
Yeah, so it's one of those things. If you have the modules on your roof and you have to take them off and put them back because you have to re-roof, that's at a cost. That's not a cost that you want. So let's get the roofing done first.
It's a good cost, too.
Yeah, but it's usually not a cost that's discussed when the solar is sold.
Right.
I know you guys are.
Right.
But most people, they want to sell the solar, and it's a shame because there's an opportunity to sell a roof and solar together
Combined,
and have some additional benefits there.
We talk about this, how we've talked about roof condition and solar, and we've talked about it till we beat the dead horse, right? One of the things we talk about at Harmon is, right, we put a 30-year roof penetration warranty on your system. Now, that is 3 inches around the penetration for the rails of your solar system.
Right.
That's it. It's just 3 inches. It's not saying that your whole roof is warranted.
Right.
Just the holes that we're making in 3 inches around them. Now, we're not going to go ahead and put solar on a roof that we feel is not going to hit that 30 years. We feel confident that we're going to make that warranty. But most people out there, and we can talk about that, don't care. It's about selling you the system, getting it on your roof, and getting the commission in their pocket. That's it.
And they're done.
There are certain installers that are not around anymore. I can think of one behemoth, and we all know who that is, that would install on any roof. They didn't. Like, a roof could be bowed. They didn't care. They were going to put it on that roof because they were going to get that system done and get paid for it.
Yeah.
And that's where Harmon and then a couple other guys are different, where we just won't do that.
Yeah,
we can't do that.
We'll walk away from a deal. You know, if
We have walked away from it.
That's what you have to be willing to do.
Yeah, we take a look at a roof in a situation. Hey, we're not going to put modules on this roof unless you replace it. You know, we'll give you a quote for it and everything. And the homeowner's like, no, just put it on there. Nope, we won't do it.
They said they'll do it.
Yeah.
I remember a specific customer. I'll never forget this. The exact scenario. We walked away. We said, we're not doing it. They said, well, they'll say they do it. They're going to do it. So they went ahead and had it done with them. They gave us a bad review online because we wouldn't do it for them. And then I think it was not even 6 months later, they started having leaks and issues.
Did they call us to fix it?
Oh, no, yeah, they did. They
okay.
called us and we're like, we told you.
I hate to say it, told you so.
We said it for a reason, and now they had to pay all this expense to get this thing fixed.
We should have an I told you so department.
We do. It's your phone number.
It's my number.
No, it is. But it's so critical when you say that. I'm like, gee, I'm thinking of my own house. Like I have hip and ridge seals that I put on there just to make sure that I don't have a lot of that leakage issue.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know what that is. We've talked about that in a roofing podcast too. It's just basically like I want to say almost like a gasket seal on the hips and the ridges that doesn't allow water to get underneath the concrete stuff and hit the underlayment.
Yeah. And to break it down even farther, you guys, like you said, 10 years old, 15 years old, what do you look for? Like, what's that cap for you guys when you're like, is it just based off the looking at that lap and actually inspecting the underlayment, or do you go off age?
We're looking at the condition.
Yeah, and that's the best way.
Because some people don't have
true way.
Some people buy a house 5 years ago. They didn't know that it was re-roofed maybe 2 years before that, and
they have no idea.
Maybe it's in really good condition.
Yeah,
but some have been sitting there for 20 years in the Phoenix heat, and we know what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. So if the lifespan of a roof's 25 years, what would you guys say the lifespan of a solar system typically is? Now, solar hasn't been around as long as roofs, but
right. But they have 25-year warranties.
25-year warranties.
Yeah.
So we have both these things have the same lifespan.
Yeah.
So if we can start the lifespans together and replace them at the same time, that's in the best interest. I had one guy who had a 10-year-old roof, put solar on. That solar lasted him I think he called me 10, 12 years after he had the solar installed. So now the roof is 22 years old. Solar had paid for itself and been a net positive for this guy for a few years.
Yeah.
But he still needed to pay for a detach and reset at year 10, which pretty much sucked up all of his savings into paying for that detach and reset and the new roof. And he's starting over again now with 12-year-old panels getting reinstalled onto his roof. So we try and upgrade the panels, but really starting these things together at the same time ensures they're gonna die together.
Yeah.
What would you say? And I've heard people say this before, so let's get your opinion. People try to sell the fact that if you have solar on your roof, it actually enhances the life of your roof. It makes it last longer because you have panels up there, so it's deflecting the heat. You're not having the same beating that you would have if you didn't have it. What do you think about that statement? Because people make that statement.
I'd say not true for tile roofs because it's not the tile's already shading the underlayment. On a shingle roof, you're going to see a little bit. It's some shingle roofs you go on that are north and south facing roofs. The north side roof is really good condition, and the south roof looks like crap.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Because it's taking the beating on that sun.
Of course.
So there is something to that. So on a shingle roof, you pull the panels, we're going to see better condition directly underneath the panels for the shingles. However, all around the perimeter of those panels, it's still been hitting sun. And so if you're still taking damage outside the perimeter of that solar panel array, you're not going to just go patch and redo the roof around the solar. You're going to do the whole slope anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So take us through that process of what you guys do. Like, it's probably not cut and dry of just come up there and unscrew some things and throw some panels on the ground.
Yeah.
Just high level. Like what goes through you guys' process of taking them off, obviously in the roofing aspect, and then putting them back on.
Yeah. So I think one thing that's key to us is we have a project coordinator on every job that's managing communications between the homeowner and the roofer and ensuring everything's going smooth. And so setting expectations on the front end about where would you like these stored? In your garage, in your backyard, putting a plan in place, letting them know of any material that needs to be replaced on the front end, making sure there's not going to be change orders. So getting a good plan. After that plan's in place, we will schedule very closely with the roofers to minimize downtime for the solar. So how long do you need for the roof? We'll come in a day or two before. We'll come in a day or two after. We'll make sure this thing is scheduled nice and tight so the solar's not down, especially during the summer. It's a big concern for the homeowner. And so after we get the schedule, we're pulling everything off. First thing we're going to do is a performance verification and system inspection with lots of pictures and to document everything. If there's an issue on this job, we don't want to get blamed for it. We want to be the one providing solutions on the front end. Hey, this is a code compliant issue we noticed as we're pulling it off. Let's show the homeowner. Let's talk about it as soon as possible. So we'll make sure the system's working properly. If it is a leased system, we will get a third-party agreement with that leasing company, make sure there's additional paperwork filled out, certificates of insurance, whatever needs to be done to make sure everything's legit for Sunrun, Tesla, Solar City systems, things like that. So after we start, we do the performance verification. We document everything really well. So exact location of the panels on the roof, so they're going back in the exact same spot. Where are all the home runs at? We're going to make a custom string diagram where we build out location of J boxes, jumper wires, all the wiring schematics. Sure. And then we are going to organize everything that comes off. So all the certain types of clamps will go in one bucket, and other types of clamps, T-bolts in another bucket. And so it's super clean and organized, and we know what we need to bring out next time if anything does need to be replaced. When we pull the mounts, we put some sealant down where we yank that mount out, even though the roofer's coming in a day or two later. It might monsoon, right? We might get a pop-up shower. So sealing that roof well where we yank the mount out is important. And then communicating with the roofer, getting everything stored where the customer wants it, nice and clean and organized, allowing the roofer to come do their job. Now, through this process, we're checking in with the roofer and the homeowner. Hey, is that roof done when he said it's going to be done? How is our crew? Doing some outbound calls. Make sure everything's going smooth from that project coordinator. Then once we confirm roof complete, we're on track for that reset. And we'll go out. Typically, we get a new mount in. There's usually the mounts are getting replaced because there's too much sealant or it's a bad type of mount that we won't want to reuse. and we're sealing it back up better than before. Usually, you guys seal your mounts well. I've seen your mounts, but you know how most people are sealing them out there. So that's what we find, and so we're upgrading that. We're giving them a bottom flashing and putting some more stuff on these mounts to give them peace of mind.
When you run into a job that someone used a tile hook on, do you go back to the tile hook or do you do something different?
So the thing we want to filter through is this okay with the roofer? Mm-hmm. Is this okay with the homeowner? Is it secure and is it sealed? And so a tile hook does check those boxes. The downside to the tile hook is it hooks out from underneath the tile and it can pop tile up slightly. And so if you have the wrong type of tile hook or a tile's not setting well on it, you might need to shave those tile down, make sure it's proper, and we're not popping tile up. The tile replacement system is nice because you get extra tile on the roof that you can use to swap out any broken tile with, so it can be smooth, even though it's a little bit more of a, I don't want to say pain to install.
Right.
There's a learning curve. It might be an adjustment. But it's still not as fast as the tile hook. So I'm not opposed to the tile hooks.
So you're putting it back to what it was, but trying to make it even better than it was if you can.
It's all about the way it's sealed.
Yeah.
It's all about what are you doing where those holes are going through the roof, whether it's a tile hook or a tile replacement.
And how long? I know there's going to be different sizes and different systems, but a typical, let's say a 10K system, how long does it take you guys to do your process? I mean, just your process. I know the roofer has to do their work, but how long does it take you?
Yeah, I mean, we can detach. One crew can detach up to 70, 80 panels in a day. And, if we're resetting, there's a lot of variables, right? 2-story, multi-array.
Right.
Isn't one of those Solar City Tesla jobs that take a little bit longer because there's a skirt and some... So, of course, there's factors, but typically 30 to 40 panels on a reset in a day. So we go above that 30 to 40 mark. It'd become a 2-day at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you figure that. They're 2 to 3 days in. The roofer's going to take however long they take. So this could be a week process.
I feel like the putting it back is probably one of the most crucial aspects, because the last thing that you want is a homeowner going, if some issue comes up and they're the ones that put it back, and this is so. Obviously, you're probably meticulous with taking it off, but the putting all the modules and everything back is probably, I would say, even more crucial, because that's like your stamp on the job. Like this is it, not only back the way it was, but it's a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean we give a new workmanship warranty on every nut bolt and electrical connection that we touch.
Oh, nice.
We offer a 2, 5, or 10-year option on that workmanship. So if someone's out of their warranty, they can get put back into a new warranty with us at the time of detach reset. Or maybe they have 2 years left on their existing. We'll extend it up to 10.
Okay.
But we also give 100% money back, no leak guarantee. So you're talking about a 3-inch radius on all your mounts is what's warranted. If any of my mounts leak within that 3 inches, I'm going to refund them every penny for the Solar Detach and Reset. Because I'm selling peace of mind.
Right.
I'm selling peace of mind. I'm so confident in my sealant. I haven't had to do it once.
That was going to be my next question.
So how long is that warranty?
It's 2, 5, or 10-year option.
That's 2, 5, or 10 also.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's because when someone's calling me, they're not thinking about getting new solar. It's not a want. It's like, man, this thing is unexpected need. There's water coming in my house.
Sure.
They want peace of mind that these a couple hundred holes that are going back again are going to be solid, and they're never going to have to worry about this $20,000-$30,000 roof and this detach and reset for a long time to come.
I would think the downside may be, let's say somebody has a system installed and it's been installed for 2-3 years, right? And they need this service. Like for instance, at Harmon, right? We provide that service as well, right? We do removal and reinstalls as well. We do the same thing you do. But it's our work, so we continue to warranty our work. I'm assuming, let's say there's a company that puts their system up, and then 2 years later it needs an issue. They go to you. Would that impact? It could impact the warranties they're getting from that solar company.
Yeah,
their workmanship, their leak warranty, that all probably goes away.
Yeah, like if you guys installed a system, I don't want to use you guys as a bad example, but if another company installed a system and 2 years goes by and they need a detach and reset, and that company never explained that this was a thing.
Oh, bad on them.
Right, because they didn't look at, going back to not looking at the roof, right?
Right.
Man, you didn't tell me about that. And then a roofer goes and looks at it, and they're like, you got 7 broken tile under those panels, just so you know, too. They don't trust that company anymore.
Right.
And so they're going to go looking for someone else, and that roofer is going to recommend us. And so we are going to void a warranty if it is existing. And that's why we offer a new one, because we want to replace whatever's there with something of equal or greater value.
No, that's a good point. I think that's good that you do that, because I know if it was a Harmon job, we warranty for 30 years. If someone else were to go in there and touch it, obviously that voids all that warranty.
Right. Yeah, because I'm going to loosen up everything.
Right.
I'm going to rip everything out.
We have a 25-year workmanship warranty, a 30-year penetration warranty. That would be gone.
Yeah.
Right. So you would pick that up, which I think that's great that you do that, because I bet you there's companies out there that don't do that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of companies that don't do it. And as you guys know, you talked about some behemoths out there in the industry that aren't around anymore. Like these companies that are going out of business left and right.
Yep.
They need homes for someone to help service this stuff.
To that point, so this is a really good thing to take away from, just if you're going to watch this podcast, you take one thing away from it, it's this, right? So if someone comes and touches your roof and it's not Solar Detach, or it's not, the guy that did your warranty originally, you're going to lose all your warranties.
Yep.
They're gone, right? Another way to lose them is by your installer going out of business.
Yeah.
And there's a stat out there that I talked about last week. From 2022, the top 10 installers in the country, they're all out of business. All 10 from 2022. That's insane.
Yeah.
Right? But that's what this industry's gone through. And then us that are left standing there's a reason we're left standing. Right? It's how we do business. It's what we do.
Yes.
We're not going anywhere. Right?
And that's huge. But you have to overcome a potential trust issue with the homeowner that sees all these companies going out of business.
Right.
You have to build trust that you're not like them.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do that similarly by positioning ourselves as like we're not trying to sell new solar. We're different. We're here to service all the solar already installed. On the back end here.
It's important, and we talk about this all the time. It's important to make sure the company's been around. Do your due diligence on the company. Yep. This is our 50th year at Harmon, right? We're doing our 50-year anniversary this year. That's a big accomplishment that we've been around for 50 years, 4 generations of Harmon. So
it's not a coincidence, though.
Right.
It's not a coincidence
It's
that
not
the companies around are doing things the right way.
Right.
Yep.
When it got really bad 2-3 years ago and everybody was dropping like flies,
we were still fine.
We're fine.
Yeah.
It's not an issue, right? We just keep going because we're so diversified. We've talked about this as well. We do so many different things. We're not just in one part of the business.
Yeah.
So
we as a company have lasted longer than our warranties that we offer.
Yes.
That's important.
I wonder how many people can say that.
Yeah.
And we put that tagline out there, right?
Yeah.
You should check and see, is the company you're working with, have been around as long as their warranties?
Yeah.
I bet you they haven't.
We offer a 2-month warranty.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about I almost want to call it like the warranty race that happened. Yeah. It happened in the roofing industry too. It's happening now. I got a 10. Now the next guy's got a 12. Then we got a 15. Now we got a 20. Now we got a 30. And someone's going to come out but to the customer, you're almost trying to battle. You guys got a 30. That's great. Someone comes in with some lifetime or 50-year, and you have to really get them to understand, what does this truly mean? How long have they been around?
I can think of a big installer that had a lifetime. They're gone. Their life is over.
It's their lifetime. The warranty is of their lifetime, not your lifetime.
That's exactly it. You get just, man. It doesn't. It's not worth the paper it's on. Right, you got to look at the company.
But you got to explain this to these customers, right? As you're going up against these guys, I'm sure all the time.
So one of the things that we partner with you is and this is important too. So I'm going to give the example, right? In my house, I have solar on my house. I have a 10K system, and I live in a neighborhood that has a lot of darn pigeons in it.
Yeah, you do.
There's a ton of pigeons out here, and I didn't have any protection from that for my system for the first 2 months because of whatever reason. I don't even remember what it was. But I had pigeons nesting under my system. I had bird crud all over my sidewalk. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so we, as a company, we used to do a lot ourselves. We installed bird proofing, or whatever you want to call it. And I don't have the issue anymore, and it's been 10 years. That's what we partner with you. You guys actually do all of that for us right now, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I left Sun Valley, I asked Russ, I was like, hey, man, is there any way I can pick up all your bird guard contracts just to help me get the ball rolling with this new business? And he's like, yeah, we'll start using you guys for all our bird guard. And so we were getting some jobs from that, and I was like, man, I really like Harmon. I'm going to go stop in over there. And I believe it was talk to Brad.
Yep.
And I talked to Brad and kind of dropped off my card and some information, told him I did bird guard, seeing if I can get in with you guys. And he called me about a month later. He's like, hey, the guys were using, something happened. I won't get into it, but something happened.
Yeah, I remember that.
We're looking, wondering if we can meet down, sit and talk. And so I went and sat down with Brad, and was like, hey, yeah, we went and finished that job they couldn't finish. And then since then, we've been working with you guys to install bird guard on a lot of your new systems. And, I know you guys have a solid service department. So even on some customers who are calling in who already have the bird issue like you did, we'll go clean all that debris off the roof. It's important to get it out from underneath the panels before installing the bird guard.
Talk about that. So what problems can birds and critters cause for a solar system? What do you run into?
Yeah.
Who cares if they nest, right?
Yeah.
I do.
Well, yeah, it's like, why Ty, you do solar detach and reset. Why even mess with bird guard? And it's a needed service, but also it's causing roofing issues. The birds, it's taking away from peace of mind for the customer. Right? You got poop coming off the roof into your yard.
Yep.
You can't go barbecue and walk barefoot back there. You're worried about the dog getting
And it's
into
all
it. You
in
got
one
kids.
spot usually.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
so,
bad.
So you're losing peace at your home, but also when debris gets underneath the panels, the bird debris, and they start building nests, those nests will dam up water during heavy rains. And that dam will push water uphill under the tile. When it does that, it takes bird debris with it. Now you have wet bird debris sitting on that underlayment. And the poop, the bird debris, is acidic. And so that moisture of that acidic poop will eat through the underlayment and cause a roof leak and the need for a detach and reset.
Really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't even think
about that. Yeah.
That's
I knew
really-
nesting under there was a problem, but then the whole like, oh yeah, when it rains, it forms a dam and water and this, and I'm like, oh, that's a big problem now.
I didn't even think. Yeah, that's crazy.
So if we look at it from that perspective, these birds, if you don't take care of them, can cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And cost of a new roof and a detach reset that maybe isn't needed quite yet, but you expedited the lifespan of that roof again, now from a 25-year roof to now a 15, 10, because birds are chilling up there.
So tell us what you do to fix that problem. What do you go up there and do?
Yeah, so
I know you clean it.
Yeah, so if we got depending how bad it is, sometimes we have to get the panels out of the way to do a thorough clean out, and it's important to get all the debris out because pigeons, there's a pheromone in their debris. They're a homing pigeon, so they will return to the scent of their poop essentially, and won't leave the house. So we have some customers that have a clean out done or bird guard installed, and they don't do a clean out. They leave a lot of stuff under the panels. The pigeons poop all over the panels and circle the panels and still stay at the house, and they're still trying to get in. So you got to clear everything off the roof. So what we do is we get on the top side of the panels, we push everything out with water and these long plastic PVC sticks, and we work it all out until there's no debris underneath. Now, where's it all going? We don't want it going in the rocks or the artificial grass or in the AC unit. And so the whole landscape downstairs has to be protected with we put a landscape fabric down. So it'll catch all that debris. That way we can roll it, bag it, take it away. And then after the clean out's done, we install a steel material. It's been dipped with a black PVC coating so it matches the panel frame. It goes all the way around the perimeter of the panels. We don't void any warranties on the panels because we use a hook to hook the panels, not a screw to go into the frame of the panels.
Nice. Yep.
So it's super clean, doesn't void any warranties. We give a no bird guarantee on all those systems. So if something happens, a bird does make it past our stuff, we'll come, of course, address it and fix it and get it dialed in. But even after we install bird guard, it's going to take a couple weeks for those birds to leave because again,
Right.
They're going to
used to it.
circle those panels and look for those nests and look for their home. And then eventually they're going to go, okay, it's too hot and I need some shade. And they're going to look at your neighbor's house and they're going to head over there and they're going to go to what they know, which is back underneath some more panels.
That's so
The
funny.
best
and
referral right there.
Well, and they're multiplying. The pigeon problem as a whole is increasing over time.
Yeah.
Because they don't migrate. They stay here year round.
Yep.
And they multiply like rabbits. And so, and no, there's not enough hawks. There's not enough. You know, look at New York City. Like, you know, that's the direction we're going when it comes to like the birds getting worse as the population grows. And so if we know it's getting worse over time, we really recommend getting bird guard installed, or at least educating the customer on things to look out for so we can catch it early.
And I will tell you, it absolutely works. I had the issue. It solved my problem. I don't have the issue at all, and it's been years. So this stuff makes a ton of sense. It's not just a bunch of BS. It's real. It absolutely works. And if you need to take a look at your neighborhood, you see pigeons, do this.
Do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Do it up front when you buy the system. Just get it. It's not a big ad. Get it done and be done with it. I know you're doing all of ours right now, I believe.
Yeah, and like you
So-
said, it's not that expensive.
It's a lot.
It's like it's a cheap insurance policy.
Yeah. It's a lot cheaper than removing your panels and doing the roof again versus just do the bird guard.
Yeah, because we will charge extra if we have to clean out bird debris, and
Right.
so like, that's an extra time, extra work, and it's a messy job that, you know, the cheapest time to do it's just when you get the solar. Just tack it on. I'd say if you are in a suburban area, tract home area, anywhere in the Phoenix metro, just get it installed. If you have a S-tile or W-tile roof especially, flat tile roof, there's a little more airflow. You still want to keep an eye on it. It can happen. But I'd say if you got a shingle or if you're on the outskirts of town where the hawk population's maybe a little thicker, just keep an eye on it. You might not need to pull the trigger right away, but you definitely want to know signs to look for.
Yeah, I've seen it on the commercial side as well. Like you have those parking canopies, and you have a lot of birds who will nest on the columns, and you see that they're right by the home runs and everything. So obviously those birds sometimes will, disconnect a wire here or there, or mess with things. Do you guys do stuff on the commercial side?
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. We've done a few large commercial projects where we're running. Instead of like a metal screen around the perimeter of panels, maybe it's a UV rated mesh that is like 100 by 100 section that we're putting up and attaching skin tight underneath or above a surface. We did a big detach and reset for a Boys and Girls Club over the last year, and it was one of the worst bird problems I've ever seen. There was probably 200 to 300 birds, I'd say, just flying. They were swarming around us, as we're doing the detach. And so getting all that debris off was just quite a job in itself. But afterward, this was just a ballast tilt system with probably 200-300 panels on like a gymnasium, right? How do you bird guard that?
It's not easy.
So we have to like go over the top of this entire 150 foot by 200 foot roof and secure to the perimeter with a cable and stretch it and then support it above the arrays. And I'm like, man, this is kind of shading the panels, but if we don't do it, like it's going to mess.
So you
this
went
new roof.
over the entire array?
Yeah, because usually with a net, you want to use an exclusion method and you're going underneath it.
Right.
But this one, the way that it was set up, this ballast, there was no way to work in between all the ballasts of the blocks. It was the way it was tight and the jaggedness of it. And so we offered it to as a solution for this guy. We're like, hey, we can go over the top of this whole thing. And that's really all we're willing to do in order to ensure birds don't get back in on this roof. And they pulled the trigger on that.
Like a big cage.
I got to see. That's interesting. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it elevates, I'm curious if it affected the production. It's probably
Minimal.
3 to 5 feet in areas above where the panels are because it was attached to a parapet wall and supported above. So you're going to get little shade spots from that net. And we explained all this to the customer on the front end, of course, of the risk of that side. But the risk of the birds getting back in was heavier.
I'm sure it impacted a little bit.
Yeah.
Really small, though.
Yeah.
Because of the shade. Yeah. That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking, it's like an 1.5 inch square holes with really small, like UV rated nylon that we're talking here in terms of the material. So
do you come across like other pests besides birds, like cats or like a bee's nest, wasp nest?
We were I got a picture from one of my field guys a couple months ago. There was we've seen raccoons, foxes, cats. Actual fox. I'm like, a fox in town?
Oh yeah.
Guy got a video of the fox running out of the panels and taking off on the roof.
Fox proof your solar system.
Wow.
So
call Harmon for a quote.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a guy out there right now that has a few hawks that he's trained, and he'll go out.
Oh, nice.
And he's taught them to catch these pigeons too. So
can we add that?
Look for him on social media. Bring him in here.
Yeah.
The Harmon Hawks.
He drives around in his car with the window down.
Oh,
he's like,
I've seen
get
him.
him.
I've seen him.
The hawks go out and sick. So anyway, but
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I want to pay just to see it. I don't know if it works or not, but I'd like to see a hawk come kill a bird.
I've seen more hawks here lately, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's because I guess there's a population of pigeons is so great.
It could be.
All of a sudden. And actually, even last week, I saw a vulture. It looked like a turkey.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there just pegging out pigeons and dropping them and eating them.
There you go.
And I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy because the population has gotten so bad.
Yeah. The
job security for you, though. Right?
It is. The worst case scenarios when it comes to bird debris really comes from neglect from the homeowner.
Yeah.
Like you did the right thing by noticing, calling, having something done.
Yeah.
People will just they'll let it get to the point where, I mean, it's bird debris from the tile all the way up to the underside of the panel. So we're talking 8 inches thick under the entire array. And so it's shoveling. It's moving all the panels out of the way and it's shoveling the stuff into buckets, right? And so we got full suits, we got masks, we got eye protection, and it's 120 out. It's just a nasty, dirty job, man.
Do you guys ever work with insurance companies? I know you do the R&Rs and stuff. And then do you ever work with insurance companies to kind of, I know that some of them will actually, if the roof's in bad shape for whatever reason, if there's damage for hail or whatever, they'll actually pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? So have you guys done insurance work?
Yeah, absolutely. So The roofer that specializes in insurance is usually a little bit different model, different animal than a retail roofer. We serve both of them. The insurance companies do pay for the detach and reset if they're paying for the roof, and so that's good that they are paying to get it out of the way for these customers. So we will do some insurance work. There's some variables to it in terms of what that customer that's filing an insurance claim, right? They're usually paying maybe $1,000 deductible,
Right.
And so just getting it done quick and easy, $1,000, it's not selling off value as much in terms of the guarantees and the warranties. It's a fast moving thing when those guys are door knocking and pushing detach and reset while they're doing it. But yeah, absolutely, we'll work with any insurance company out there.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah,
It's a peace of mind for that homeowner.
Peace of mind, but it's got to be. It's only for a shingle roof though. So if you've got a tile roof, it's going to be really hard to file a claim on that because
True.
Their insurance is only going to approve it if it's storm damage. If it's natural wear and tear, they're not going to approve it. And it's hard to get storm damage on a tile roof. The only time you're going to file a claim is if you had a microburst that came and pulled tile physically off your roof and exposed that underlayment and allowed the underlayment to be damaged. You might have a shot then, but.
You ever run into any system? I'm sure you have. You ever run into any systems where they're just the installation is just I want to say wrong.
Oh,
horrible.
yeah.
Just
And you have to put it back the way it was.
you run into a bad installation. There's a lot of bad installers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right?
There's so many, man.
What do you do
we've
when
got
you?
some bad stories out there.
I'm just curious. Like,
Yeah.
what's your process if you run into just one of those situations? What do you do? I mean, 'cause you got to protect yourself as well as inform the customer.
Yeah, so it's all about communicating on the front end. Like we want to be sympathetic to the customer in that situation, but like we want to be the hero in that situation. We want to be coming down with photos of everything and explaining any risks of the bad install that might be up there, and then saying, hey, this isn't how we're going to put it back. This is how we're going to put it back. And it's either we're going to do that at no cost, that's an easy fix, or man, they've like free aired this THHN wire all the way through your attic and no conduit, and I cannot put my name on this. You have to get this in a pipe to be code compliant, right? So it's is it code compliant, a code compliant issue, or is it maybe like they forgot a couple end clamps and ground lugs and something like that? So, but we've seen, I mean, I've got a lot of stories of weird, bad, nasty stuff, like panels being held down with like copper ground wire going through the panel and wrapped it around the rail, right? For an end, because it looks like they didn't have enough material or something, right? So
we'll make it work.
Yeah. But then the thing is a lot of this stuff, I can't believe how long it actually is sitting up there like that. And sometimes it'll blow off. Sure. We get a call, hey, there's panels in my yard. But yeah, some of the stuff I get up there and I just cannot believe. The biggest thing that shocks me though is just the lack of care with the sealing process on those mounts, know, and I don't know how they're getting away with just some gunk out of a caulking tube underneath a base plate and walking away from it. It just seems like there's too much risk there to not put some type of housing over where those lag bolts are going on.
Well, they just don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to do it as cheap as possible.
It's time and material
Yeah,
saving.
I mean, the cheaper they can do it, the more money they can put in their pocket, so that's how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
That's why I always say Harmon's not the cheapest option out there. It's just we can't be. I mean, we got to do it the right way because we're going to warranty it 30 years or whatever we're warranting. You get what you pay for.
Yes.
Right. We talk about that all the time. I mean, you get what you pay for. So you can work with a quality company like you guys or us, or there's a lot of other guys you can work with that are still left that won't be around much longer, probably.
Yeah. So what do you vet in terms of quality company? For me, it's what's their sealant process look like.
Yeah.
What do they have a service department in house? Are they servicing the start to finish, where they're selling it, installing it, and servicing it? And it's not like I know you guys said you work with some outside sales reps, and I'm sure
we do.
But there's
we vet them as well.
A lot of times to the homeowner, they get an outside sales rep, and they don't even know who's doing the install.
Yeah.
So that's key. But then also, what's their communication, and have they stood the test of time?
Yeah.
And if we check those three boxes, like you guys have, you're on the right track.
No, I agree. I mean, like we do work with sales companies. There's a lot of sales companies out there that go and sell solar, knock door to door and stuff, and like they use whoever they can get that's going to do it really cheap, right? That may be there today, might not even be in the state.
Yeah,
we see a lot of that as well. So we do a good job of vetting who we use, and we make it a point of you need to make sure we have all the customer communication once a job's sold because we want them to know who they're dealing with now. They're our customer.
Yeah,
they may have bought the system from somebody else, but really they're our customer now.
We're
going to be with them.
I like asking worst case scenarios for when I vet out companies. So I'll ask you, I guess. So you have system on a 2-story home. So obviously you're getting up there, you're removing panels. So as a homeowner, I'm thinking, I got this guy taking my modules down this ladder.
Good point.
What happens if something breaks? What is your process? What do you do if you drop a module, something breaks?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just how it's raised,
Put it back.
right? Yeah,
Just put it back.
You just want to do right by people, and if you make a mistake, or if anyone on my team makes a mistake, like, I'm going to own it every single time. And I think that's one of the main disconnects that happen between the roofing and solar industry is when a mistake would happen, it turned into a finger pointing contest, oftentimes between the solar company and the roofing company. And so my perspective of it is, if it's my mistake, I don't care how much it costs, we're going to fix it. And we're going to move on fast, and we're going to get to the next job together, Mr. Roofer. But if it's something where it is the roofing issue, we're going to go out and look at it together and get on the same page with what actually is causing the issue, and be on the work it as a team. So I mean, we've made mistakes that have cost 10, 15, 20,000, over the last year, and those are hard pills to swallow. But the truth of the matter is the relationships are worth more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we always talk about, we're a construction company and we're going to make mistakes. It's how we react to the mistake.
It's how you react.
Right. So as long as we take care of the mistake, then that's great. A lot of companies will run away from it, like you said, or point finger in other places.
Yeah.
We won't do that. I'm glad you don't do that. I think it's interesting. The relationship that we have with Solar with you guys.
Yeah.
Is it's interesting because in one point of it, where the bird blocking and all that stuff, we're utilizing you. We're partners, right? And it's important that we have that relationship together. But then in the other section of it with the R&R stuff, we're kind of competitors.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But there's a place for what you do and a place for what we do, because if you're a Harmon customer, I would say, again, it's a 30-year warranty, and if someone else touches it,
Right.
we're out.
Let us take care of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we have a huge service department and we handle our business that way. But there are so many companies that are out of business. There's so much business out there for guys like you that are doing it right. I would consider you just like Harmon, that goes and does it the right way for people, versus you don't want any roofer or any Joe Blow touching your solar system.
Right.
I've seen too many situations, and I'm sure you have too, where the guy goes up there, touches it, doesn't know what he's doing, and just destroys it.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen quite a few horror stories. Like, my uncle's an electrician. He can take a look at it. And I'm like, okay.
It's not that simple. There's so many different types out there now.
Yeah, no, I agree. So it's just kind of funny how we're talking about your business, but you're a competitor of ours.
Yeah, yeah. And I knew that coming into this and that, and I love it, because one compliment to you guys is I see your systems the least.
And you should.
Which is a good thing. That means your customers are calling you to get it done because they still trust you and they want to maintain that warranty.
And we have a thing in our contracts too, where it's a benefit for our customers to come back through us.
Because don't you guys do a little bit of roofing or work with?
We do roofing ourselves.
So
we have guys who work
together.
So we have all that built in house. I mean, that's just how we're set up. But But there's so many of you out there that just haven't worked with Harmon or have systems outside of Harmon, especially, that your guys are out of business. I mean, you want to call a company like you because you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing it like we would do it.
Yeah. It's either they're out of business or the homeowner doesn't trust them anymore. Those are our two.
And it's very common to hear those two things.
Very common.
That's exactly what it is they're out of business or they don't trust them.
And those two things are continuing. If we look at the trajectory over time, the amount of trust, I believe, is decreasing just because of the bad rep Solar's doing. It's stuff like this that's fighting back against that, right? It's talking about the right way. But yeah, it's getting out there, getting them a new warranty, getting them solutions, streamlining everything, getting the good communication. It's
I mean, you're validating what we talk about all the time, right? That's why we could bring a competitor on and talk about the right way to do things. Because this is about, our podcast has always been about educating you, the customer, on how things should be done the right way. Yeah. And so we'll bring a competitor on, and you're also a partner of ours, to talk about, hey, we're a common ground here. We both agree this is how you do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we do this.
There is a right way to do solar.
Right.
But it starts with finding someone you can trust to explain the right way. Don't just take anyone off the street. Do your homework. Check for those 3 things I talked about. Give Harmon Solar a call to get the right answers. Check out this podcast.
That's right.
That is if you're thinking about solar, that's how you get peace of mind.
Well, how can people find you?
So check me out, Ty the Solar Guy on Instagram.
Ty the Solar
on
Guy.
Facebook. And Bridge the Gap podcast on Spotify, Apple Play.
Yeah, let's push that. So you have a podcast. Bridge the Gap. You meet with
so
roofers.
your roofing side, maybe come on. We could talk a little bit on there one day.
Yeah,
okay, cool. And then solardetachpro.com. if you want to check out the website.
All
right. You guys any special promos going on, discounts or anything that you want to plug?
Yeah. So, I won't push anyone, in terms of referring roofers and those guys, like we try and keep an even playing field there on that. But if you, I'd say the one tip I'll give on the way out here is get a free inspection done. If you haven't had your roof looked at or your solar looked at in the last year, call Harmon, get a free inspection done, and just stay on top of it. Don't let it get to the point where it's too late and it's an unexpected cost for you, whether it's birds, whether it's roof. Get a proactive plan rolling. And so I'll just push that as my last comment.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Great
Thanks,
time.
Tyler.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on.
We've got some new stuff coming up, and it's funny that you mentioned, getting free inspections and stuff. We're going to start getting into some of that in our next podcast, where we're going to talk about our service department and some of the things that we're going to start offering out there to kind of help you with peace of mind and some other stuff. So,
Yeah.
Ben, it's always a pleasure to see you more than I ever need to.
It is a pleasure to see me, isn't it? I wake up every morning saying the same thing.
It's really not. But anyway, hey, thanks for joining us on this episode, and we'll see you again real soon.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys.